Welcome to Let's Learn Surviving Mars. All right, welcome. This is Attican, and welcome to a revisit of a quick start guide we just did called the Paradox Interactive Astrogeologist. And that one was a very good one, very successful, but in thinking about it and actually rewatching it, I realized there were some opportunities for improvement. So I wanted to go back, revisit it, do it again, and kind of clean up a few things, because our goal here is to come up with kind of a really solid starting method so that you guys can play this game and get off to great starts, and then go out and build your colony however you choose. If you want to build a giant, or if you want to focus on a certain kind of thing, or a certain kind of people, or certain kind of research, or whatever you want to do, you can go out and have fun with this game, because you can get off to a solid start and get approval early and be able to really enjoy the game. So what we're trying to do here is come up with just an ideal way to start, or as close to ideal as we can come up with, to get you going and, again, be successful with your early colony efforts. So I would refer you to that other video. There are a lot of things that I explain in there that I'm not talking about here so much, but because I do want to give you this intro and give you this background as to why am I doing this exact same one again, because one more time, there were opportunities to get better. So what we're doing here is setting up a refuel station. A refuel station is the first thing you have to do in this game. You have to be able to get rockets onto Mars and get them off Mars and going back to Earth. So we're going to use the 2 refinery, 2 moisture evaporator approach, which allows us to quickly get this rocket. This rocket requires 100 fuel. That's a lot of fuel. So we are going to use an approach where we do 2 refineries and 2 moisture evaporators so that we can quickly make fuel and get this rocket headed back to Earth in a hurry. And through a lot of research and a lot of calculations, I found that 5 large solar panels and 5 wind turbines plus 1 power accumulator gives you a great 24/7 cold wave resistant solid start for your refuel station, and doesn't burn a tremendous amount of materials in maintenance. So it's a good solid way to go. And I also like the mix of wind turbines and solar panels at the beginning, and then you see which way your research goes to tell you which one you might want to emphasize going down the road, based on how your research falls out, and which ones get bonuses and which ones don't. By that I mean between the solar panels and the wind turbines. Here we can see our research is just beautiful. So we've paused. We did all this setting up of the refuel station in pause. And we also are we set up our scanning in pause, and we also are setting up our initial research. And we lucked out here. We got the Explorer AI, which gives us 100 research, and we got the social research that gives you 100 research points from your sponsor. We got both of those lined up right at the beginning, which to me is the ideal. That's the 2 that you want first. So we also can see this one, because the Astrogeologist, we already know where rare metals is, and we've got a strong rare metals right down there just below what you can see on the screen at this moment. We also found water in our first sector, so this is just perfect. So we set up our scanning to do a little 9 right around us. We're just going to work out from our base here, and one thing I've found is you take that first day and you set up your power grid. Then that first night is just a perfect time to build the refineries and the moisture evaporators, because you want to get the power going so you can run 24/7. So you set up that first night, you set up your sensor tower and your refinery setup, whether you're using 1 refinery or 2, and that way you've got enough power so the next morning when the sun comes out at 6 a.m., those solar panels are going to fire up, and we're going to be able to start making fuel. But we can continue making concrete because we need the concrete to get our wind turbines done. So, and the other little, if you want to call it trick, is once that concrete is done, set it to high priority. So any power that's generated will first go there and then go everywhere else, because you have to have that initial concrete in order to get your wind turbines done, to get you into that 24/7 mode with your power. So you really want to get that power infrastructure set. And once it's set, and I have 5 large solar panels and 5 wind turbines and my power accumulator going, I'm good to go. I can run 24/7 power the rest of the time until I get well into my building of the dome. And I think I mentioned this, but make sure if you want to set the dome, first of all, you may not, a lot of maps, when you start, you won't know where your first dome is going to be. So don't rush to do your drone hub. Don't rush to build your dome. Just wait until you get some of the scanning done and then pick your site. But in this one, it's just so beautiful. You got the rare metals down there. We've got water nearby. This one's just a beauty. So we're going to set up our drone hub. We're going ahead now and set up our drone hub. Make sure we don't forget to do that before our rocket takes off. Because if you'll notice, there are no vehicles here. We don't have a transport. We don't have a rover. We don't have an explorer. Now, some of your starts with the 2 refineries you can do and still have a transport that works just fine. In this particular one, I chose to not have one and just rely on my initial starting sector to give me enough metal. Really, all you need is enough metal to get started. That's all you're really looking for. And the key, again, is to get that rocket back up into space. So we're off to a really good start here. We've got our scanning going. We've got it now. If that Dust Devil will just leave us alone, that would be nice. And he does, thank goodness. They don't really harm your rockets. So the rockets are pretty tough birds. You can have a dust meteor strike right on it, or you can have a Dust Devil go right through it and it won't do any harm. Thank goodness. Because if you could harm that rocket at this point, we would be done. We would be, oh well, we failed. Because we would have no way to, this is all we could build right here. This would be our entire colony. So
sector scanned.
We're going to go, it's going to go like this, and now we're literally in wait mode. We're in day 3. You'll notice, though, we've already got full-blown power. We're going to run 24/7. We're creating fuel from 2 refineries, so we're making 24 fuel a day. We're going to get that rocket back headed to Earth quickly. So I'm going to stop here and fast forward to that point, because there's no point in us just sitting here. I mean, literally, as a player, all I'm doing right now is responding when I hear a sector's been analyzed. I go ahead and grab another sector to analyze. That's all I'm doing. So let's fast forward a little bit. So we skipped one day today. We've skipped day 5, moved up to day 6, and you'll notice our rocket is just about ready to take off. It's over 94 fuel now. So in a few moments, it'll take off for Earth. So we'll get that out of there sometime here on day 6. Well, that's pretty good to get that 100 fuel loaded and out of there in 6 days is pretty solid.
Milestone
so there it goes.
Achieved.
Off goes our rocket back to Mother Earth. We've got our rocket headed back to Earth to grab our second load, and it'll bring us some supplies we need to finish off our build. And at this point, we've we've uncovered some more metals up there that our drones are going to go pick up, and now we can go ahead and open up that dome for construction. So here any moment now, I'll click that dome open it up, turn it on, I guess I could say, and then the drones will start bringing in the resources we have to get the work started. Now, we don't have to worry really about any kind of maintenance at this point, because we're in good shape on everything. We haven't overbuilt. That's the key. We don't have too much stuff going on here for us to maintain. So we can start building that dome while the rocket is heading back to Earth, and then of course it's going to come back. So there, I finally turn it on, and now those drones will get busy hauling basically concrete, metal, and some polymers over there. We're not going to have enough polymers, and that would be the only concern, would be the polymers for maintenance. But we only have one thing that needs polymers for maintenance, and that's that power
Sector
accumulator.
scanned.
And
Anomaly
honestly, at this
found.
point, that power accumulator is really redundant. It is a backup because we're not facing bad weather. We don't have any human beings we have to support. So even if we lost our power for a few minutes, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But so now we're going to set up. We're going to bring transport so we can start gathering materials off the ground. We're going to make sure we get plenty of polymers and machine parts, a little bit of electronics just to make sure our electronics are basically to support our drone hub at this point. The polymers, we're checking what we have back on the planet. There's not a lot, or on Mars, and there's not a ton of either one of those. So we're going to basically bring polymers and machine parts, a little bit of electronics, like I said, and we're going to look at, I've got it right now at a rover, but I really want 2 explorers. I want 2 explorers, so I decide, because we've got a nice tight build, we can sacrifice. It's nice to have a rover. It's like your insurance vehicle. It's like backup for your drone hub and for repairing things and what have you. But I decided I'd rather have the 2 explorers to get that research, because the plan is, remember, we've got that Explorer AI research just sitting there waiting on us to grab a couple of beakers worth of anomaly, really 1 beaker, and get that going. And once that pops, instead of getting 100 research, but now that we're going to bring 2 explorers, we'll get 180, and that'll be a good thing. So now we're just going to go ahead and start building out and setting up for the rest of the life support things we need outside that dome that need to go in to support the dome. So we'll set up our Moxie. We'll put in a oxygen tank to start storing reserve oxygen, and we're thinking about our water. We'll go out and set up our water. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but in other words, all the things that we need to support that dome, that's what we're going to focus on now and get those ready. And then when our supply rocket lands, that'll give us all the stuff we need to finish all this off and get our dome completed. And we've still got our 2 fuel refineries running full blast here, and that means that they are going to be able to supply the fuel so that we can very quickly turn that rocket back around and go get some people. So here you can see we're building up that water. It's very nice to have that water because it makes it easier on you, particularly with that close proximity. It's all within that drone hub's range, and that can give us the water we need to support our dome. And we still have an emergency. We still have those 2 moisture evaporators there that are supporting the fuel refineries. That water will only pump as it's needed. So like right now, with the dome, with no dome finished and nothing else needed, the water extractor is ready to go, but it's not pumping. It's not using up that water, so that's a good thing. Now we're holding off on putting in a water tank because we really want to eventually have our water tank around there where that rare metals deposit is, because eventually this dome will become a revenue creator for us.
Resources
by
are
having
low.
Geologists go out and extract rare metals, which will ship back to Earth to help fund our future
Sector
efforts,
scanned.
because we are going to run out of money. But the way this works out, the way you time this is, you get your 2 researches, the Explorer AI and the 100 research for your sponsor, and you get that Mars crowdfunding, and that's the one that's going to give you the funding you need to get you over the edge and kind of give you that little bit of extra money that you need in order to make all this work. So we're bringing our rocket in. It's coming in with our 2nd load of supplies. This is our 2nd rocket to hit Mars. And that'll give us our backups of polymer and machine parts and electronics to keep our maintenance going. It also, of course, brought us those 2 explorers. We're going to take them out and put them straight on beakers. Typically, you'd want to research your magnifying glass anomalies first so that you can make sure you've got the right research items queued up. and then maybe your events, so that because they can give you some nice big things and change how you might want to research as well, and then do your beakers. But in this case, we know we've already, this is beautiful. We've got the rover AI and that Earth Mars initiative right there, 1 and 2. So when those 2 beakers are finished, when we do that initial research, we're going to suddenly go from 100 research points to 380. And now I notice a dust devil that is in a potential spot to really mess me up. Now I'm on pause so I can go ahead and do what I was doing, which is putting the buildings in that we're going to need. And you'll notice what we're going to build here. Put in a little fountain, but we're going to put a hydroponics, and actually I forgot at this point. I was thinking about, I put in hydroponics, and we're going to end up putting in a diner. So you'll see how that's all going to play
Research
out. No
complete.
production at all.
Anomaly analyzed.
And I do think I know. There we go. Come on, Danny, punch in. There we go. Get those explorers away from that dust devil, because if it should happen to take out both of them, it would just totally mess up everything we're trying to get done. So we're going to go run away from them. I've got one back researching. We're going to have this one come down and do his research. That dust devil will eventually run out of steam, but that could have been a real mess right there. So you kind of have to watch that, particularly in the early going, and especially since we don't have a rover. We don't have a rover, so we can't run out there to repair them. That's the risk you take by not bringing a rover. But we, disaster averted, so we're cool. So we're just checking. So now we've got both those. Notice our research per soul is up to 380. So that's excellent. We've got 380 going. We've got several anomalies open to us that we can go analyze because of our astrogeologist doing a nice job with deep scanning and with the support of this sensor tower. So life is good, and we're fairly close to finishing off our build. We want to set up. Now here's the thing we'll do with the. This is a little different. It's probably. Maybe not what you're used to doing, or not what you're used to seeing. We're going to set up an infirmary running 3 shifts with 1 person. So we're going to grab 3 medics. We're going to run grocery, 3 shifts, 1 person. Diner, 3 shifts, 1 person. And
we
hydroponics,
have a power shortage.
1 shift, 3 people, because that's all you can do is 1 shift in hydroponics, and that's all you'd want. So the hydroponics will make sure that we don't have a food issue. It'll be one of those just-in-time food. Our first group of colonists will bring 12 food with them. That'll keep them going for a while, and then the hydroponics will be there to with botanists, by the way, manning it, so that we will have good production from the hydroponics, and that'll give us our initial food, and life is good. Now most people prefer farms to hydroponics, and I do too, but the farm takes up an entire piece of pie, one, and then maybe more to the point here is when you're doing a quick start, you can't farm. You don't have the research for farming. So that being said, you're kind of, hydroponics is the obvious way to go. Now we're going to add some more power in. We're equal mix of solar panels and wind turbines.
We have a water shortage. Breakthrough discovered.
We'll start with 5 of each, and then eventually, the way the math works out, we would want to add 3 more of each so that we could handle cold waves. But right now, we're not worried about that. We haven't had one yet. And if we get the warning that one's coming, we would then go out and build 3 large solar panels and 3 wind turbines to make sure that we had enough power to go through that. Now we're going to run this piping out the other side of our dome, since it's now working, and we're going to put a water tower over here. And we're going to put the water tower over here because we want it near where that metal extractor is going to be. And yes, it does run up your maintenance, but eventually, once we get the research done, we would be putting a subsurface heater in near that spot, kind of near that deposit, so that it could keep our water towers from freezing and our rare metals extractor. and that would allow us to keep that rare metal extractor going without having to run a night shift. You don't want to run that third shift on people who work outside the dome, because that's a double whammy on them. They don't like the third shift, and we are running people on the third shift, but they also have the ability to go. All those people who are running third shift also have open facilities they can go visit, including their living quarters, to rest and kind of recharge after a tough night of working the night shift. And I hope you caught that, but I kind of talked right over it explaining another concept. But we got our rocket headed back early on day 10 back to Earth. So that's our second rocket's headed back to Earth early in day 10. That's very good. So it'll get back there, and our next rocket will be our first colonist. So we should be able to get colonists up here very quickly, considering how slow you sometimes have to start with the Paradox Interactive because of the single rocket and the high fuel requirements. So again, looking really good, and making sure, I like to have at least 3, if not 4 items queued up. Now, they may not stay there, but sometimes when you hit one of these events, for example, you get a big influx of
pipe leak reported.
Points.
Sector scanned.
They're all
Anomaly
wasted if you don't have something
analyzed.
queued. So I think it's a best practice to keep 3, if not 4 items queued up, even if you know that wouldn't be your first choice. There's other things you'd like to get. You certainly don't want to waste those resources.
Vehicle battery low.
So we're looking really, really good here. We are in day 11, and we have had 0 real challenges other than dodging a couple dust devil once. Really, this has just been a kind of a sleepy time build, because honestly, there's been no challenges, nothing scared us, and we're in no trouble. We have plenty of if you notice, we have plenty of parts, plenty of advanced resources, plenty of metals and concrete. Our concrete is not high now, but plenty for doing our maintenance that's required. And of course, all that can be stepped up once we get our approval and we can start really growing the colony. Then we're good. So now we're already back loading up our passengers. And for me, the first thing I look for is sexy. And then I look for the 3, the genius, celebrity, and saint, to make sure I grab any of those that are out there. Do that with my filters. And now what I want are botanists and medics, because we want to have 3 botanists running our hydroponics farm, and we want 3 medics to run those 3 shifts on our infirmary. And then the other 6, we can think ahead to what we might want, like geologists or whatever, but what I'm really looking for are the traits I'm looking for. I'm looking for sexy, of course. I'm looking for any good person. You get a really good person, you grab them regardless of what it is they kind of do for a living, so to speak. So we're going to make sure that we get 3 medics, even if they're not ideal people. We're going to get 3 medics. We're going to make sure we get 3 botanists, and then we'll fill in the rest with the best people we can find. And keep in mind, all of this, everything we're doing is has a very specific goal in mind, which is having a baby as quickly as we can, so that we're approved, and then we have the flexibility to do whatever we like to build out our colony. So there you see I picked a scientist, because that scientist had the sexy trait, and we know that we can use that scientist in the future when we turn around and build a research lab, which could be the next thing we do after we get approval. Maybe not. It depends. I mean, there's lots of ways we can play this, and future videos I'll cover how different ideas I might have for
breakthrough
how
discovered.
you want to go about this. But you can build your own way. You can decide, how do I want to grow from here? So the whole point of these quick start guides is just to help you come up with a good, repeatable method that can get you going and get you a solid foundation to build upon. So we've got our rocket headed back. We're now just kind of looking at the research. We've got some nice breakthroughs. We've got that one down there is the And this is a key thing. At this point, one of the things, I'm going to let the sensors finish because they're almost done, or they're well into it. But the key thing you want now is the crowdfunding, because we're going to need money. We need another influx of money to move us forward into the next stage. So the Mars crowdfunding, and then the other one you'd like to have is the other social, which improves your applicants. That's a really good one to have. Our rocket is on its way back to us with our
sectors.
Get up close and personal with Mars.
Our founding colonists. I guess there's fathers and mothers. And we are continuing to research anomalies as they come available to us. Keep in mind we're deep scanning because we're the astrogeologists, so we're not only scanning, but we're also seeing any anomalies that would come up from a deep scan, plus any deep deposits that are out there of water or metals or rare metals. So we're just continue to research, continue to grow. We're making sure we've turned the dome on, making sure
vehicle
it's
battery low, pipe leak reported.
Make sure we're double checking our power and water and oxygen, and making
breakthrough
sure
discovered.
We're getting prepared for everything. We've got a little pipe leak going right now, so we're actually losing a little oxygen, but that's okay. We've got plenty, and once that pipe leak is fixed, we will recover and have a nice reserve of oxygen, as well as our MOXIE going. And the same thing with the water. We've got plenty of water from our extractor and our 2 moisture evaporators, and we've got a water tank there ready to supply water during a windstorm, so we don't even have to hit our water extractor too much. And you do not want to be tapping that water extractor too much if you can avoid it. It really is more of a safety net or just your initial start, because it is a limited resource. It will run out. In fact, when I get into one of the videos about hidden demons, one of the hidden demons of this game actually is over-reliance upon water extraction. That actually can be a, you think you're just as cool as can be, and that can actually be a problem. So we're waiting on our rocket to get here, and it won't be long. It's getting close. And we're getting some nice breakthrough anomalies that we can see, and those actually will help you as we move to beyond this quick start into moving towards self-sufficiency and growing your colony. You can look at your anomalies just to help drive what you decide. Now here we are on about midday. It's coming up late morning, I guess, in day 12, and we're landing our colonists on
full
Mars.
Of hope and determination.
Milestone achieved.
They go take
New
our jobs.
colonists have arrived.
I actually goofed up here. I forgot to set my all my jobs exactly the way I wanted them. So I'm going back and fixing that right now, making sure we have our 3 shifts, but we have them okay, looking good. We got 3 botanists in the hydroponics, just as we should. So beautiful. So now we've got a beautiful setup, and now it's just kind of let's wait and let nature take its course and get the approval. And you'll notice one of the keys here in order to get a quick start is we're not really producing anything. We're not, we don't have scientists doing research. We haven't even built a rare metal extractor yet, even though we know that's our plan to go
research
that way.
Complete.
We don't have machine parts or polymers or we're not producing anything. But if you look at our setup here, we are in great shape on all of our resources. We've got plenty of everything. The food you can see there down to 2. Now, why is that? Because 5 of the food went into the diner and 5 of the food went into the grocery. So we really have 12 food, but it's starting to get hidden on our 2 places where the people go,
sector
our
scanned,
go to get the food. So don't worry about that too. It's cool. And by having 3 botanists running our hydroponics farm, that will kick in just in time to keep our food going until we can do research and get more advanced forms of food production. So now it's just a matter of watching our comfort level, and it's kind of borderline because we don't really have anything. It's not like we have the arcology giving us awesome stats on comfort, but the living quarters are quite nice. They're 60, and here's the so we're going to make sure we're going to go out and actually help them a little bit more. We've got some space, we've got concrete we can use. It's cheap investment, so we're going to put in a nice little alleyway and a statue and a pond or a lake. I forget which one that was. Just to give them a little nice relaxing place to go if that's what they're looking for, to make sure their needs are met, so we can do relaxation, social, food, dining, medical checks. These people should be pretty happy, and we should see a baby coming along pretty soon. Remember, we're only in day 13 of our build, and we're not playing the new ark, so we don't get that double birth rate. So this is about as slow as you can go as far as having a baby. So let's just see how this turns out. And we do get into wait mode here. There's nothing else for us to do. As you can see, we've almost filled that rocket back up. It's almost ready to go back. That's great. We can turn that rocket around fast, even though it's a Paradox Interactive. There, it's already leaving on day 13. So it landed on 12 and it's gone on day 13. So that's the way you want it. You want it to move out. You can also see there we've got a bunch of people ready to have a baby. Our comfort level is bouncing right around that point, so it shouldn't be long. So we're going to fast forward
Sector
this
scanned.
to
Anomaly
the point
found.
where we have that first baby and see how we did. All right, so it's like 1 a.m. on day 16, and we are just, as we've been doing, we are just literally waiting on our baby to be born so that our colony can be approved.
For the first time,
a
human has been born on Mars. It's truly a unique miracle.
Day 16, 6 or 7 in the morning, based on the fact that our solar panels just came on. So that's pretty good for the hardest sponsor on a map. This is not the hardest map in the world, but it's about a 320-ish kind of a map. So that's not the easiest map either. And the other thing is, if you think about what we've just done, let's say that you were in a condition where you didn't have that water close by, and you didn't have that rare metals where you knew where your first dome went. You could still do this, because you could build your first dome right wherever your refueling station is. Go to this approach. We weren't relying upon anything around us. We haven't put anything really out there. We're not extracting metal. We're not mining or whatever. We just had our approval. So now we can continue to scan and then pick that spot for that second dome that would be the perfect spot for maybe rare metal extraction or whatever. Or we could go the research route and go ahead with this first dome and go heavy research and try to find a way to move ahead from there. There's lots of options, but the point being that we were able to take the hardest sponsor and come up with a plan that gave us really, and by the way, extremely low risk. At no point were we in danger of having massive problems with missing maintenance materials or asphyxiation or power losses or anything. Very safe, very solid approach. So hopefully you'll be able to take this, apply this to your play, and come up with solid ways to handle these difficult sponsors. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next video. Thank you.